Hello students. In last lecture we have discussed about heterotrophic mode of nutrition. In that we have discussed about saprophytics, parasitics and holozoics, right? Also we have discussed about nutrition in amoeba, in that the various steps like ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation and egestion. Also we have discussed about opening and closing of stomata, right? So in last lecture we have discussed about nutrition in amoeba. Today's lecture is about nutrition in human beings, right? Actually how nutrition is does in humans. What is our digestive system, how our digestive system work, which organs comes in our digestive system, which are the enzymes which involves in our digestive system. So let's start. First we will try to understand it with a flow, right? We know that we take food by our hand and keep it in our mouth. So the first step is ingestion. See, always this particular concept of ingestion, after that digestion, absorption, assimilation and egestion. See, this is the common concept which is necessary to understand for any of organisms. If we talk about humans, right, we are talking about human digestive system. First we will take the overview of it, right? So in that also the organs will be like this. Some organs will be responsible for ingestion. Ingestion means how we enter food, right? From where we enter food. So that will be our concept of ingestion. And we know very well that in ingestion, right, we are having mouth. In ingestion we are having mouth. For ingestion we are having mouth. As we eat food, right, from esophagus, from mouth to digestion, and generally we know that digestion, it will be done in stomach. Okay, so simple. Food is taken by mouth, it passes by esophagus, right? It passes by esophagus to stomach. We take mouth, that is our process of ingestion. From mouth by our food pipe, or it is also called esophagus, it goes into stomach. There the digestion of food is going to take place. Then it comes to absorption, where absorption will be done. From that, for absorption, food will go to small intestine, right? So in small intestine all of the nutrients it is going to get absorbed, right? So absorption will be done in small intestine, right? Assimilation, we know that the food which is digested here in stomach, it will be absorbed in small intestine. As it absorbed in small intestine, so that food particles it is going to get assimilate, right? They will release the energy, okay? And after small intestine the food particle will go to large intestine. Here reabsorption will be done, means after absorption in small intestine, if there any of nutrients is present, so that is going to reabsorb in large intestine. And after large intestine we will have the last step of egestion, by which the unnecessary harmful, right, substances which is present now, it is going to get released from the body by NS. Right. So simple. In amoeba also we have understood the steps. In humans also we are going to understand it with the simple steps. Right. So first of all, how we can define our digestive system, or which are our digestive organs. See, first of all, our digestive system is made up of a single pipe, as we see. From mouth it comes to esophagus, then to stomach, then to small intestine, then to large intestine, and then it ends into anus, right? So if we want to write that what is called digestive system, so we can say like this: the process of intake of essential nutrients in the form of food take place through an entire system, and that system is called our digestive system. And we know that this is happening in human beings, right? We are taking food, so that is the process of intake of essential nutrients. We are getting that nutrients from the food, right? So by this entire process, the gaining of nutrient, right, by a system, that is called digestive system. Now let's study this digestive system in detail, right? So first we will start from mouth. Okay, so first of all, what happens in mouth, right? So see, first when we take food, our first will be mouth, right? Again repeating, our digestive system, it is made up of esophagus, sorry, start from the beginning: mouth, then esophagus, then stomach, then small intestine, large intestine, and anus, right? So let's start from the mouth. Now we know that food is first taken in mouth, and digestion of food, it starts from mouth only. In mouth, who will help us? We have different names, right? And we know about it very well. Tongue, which works very fast, right? The second is teeth, and the third is salivary glands, right? In mouth, these three will help us in digestion. Now let's see what this tongue, teeth, and salivary gland do, right? How they help us in digestion, right? So first of all, mouth is our first part of our alimentary canal, right? Mouth is a beginning of our alimentary canal. In that we will have tongue, teeth, and salivary glands. Now let's see what happens and how tongue is helpful to us. Okay, first of all, we know that what is tongue. Tongue, it is a highly muscular sensory, right? Tongue is a highly muscular sensory organ, right, which is present. Where this tongue is present? This tongue, it is present at floor of buccal cavity. Now what does this cavity mean? Cavity means the hollowness. Buccal cavity means the cavity of mouth. In cavity of mouth you will see tongue, right? It is a muscular sensory organ which tastes, and where it is located? It is located at floor of our buccal cavity. Now what is function of this tongue? That also we know very well that what tongue do, it bears taste buds and helps in mixing of food with saliva. It is also helpful in producing speech. Okay, so this way our tongue helps us. Again, tongue is a highly muscular sensory organ. Where it is located? It is located at floor of our buccal cavity. In our mouth, the cavity, at the floor of it, our tongue is located. Its function is to bear taste buds, right? We know that we have different taste due to tongue only. So tongue is responsible for the taste. It also mixes the food with the saliva which is secreted from our mouth, and it is helpful in producing speech. Now, how these teeth are important to us, or what is the function of teeth, right? So let's see. We know that teeth, it is a hard substance. Teeth are the hard structures which is present on the bones of both lower and upper jaw, right? So teeth is a hard structure which is present on bones of our lower jaw and upper jaw. You can see that the lower jaw and upper jaw, when we do an analysis of mouth, that we will see that our upper side and the lower side of mouth, we will have teeth, right? So it is a hard structure present on bones of our upper jaw and our lower jaw. What is the basic function of this teeth? These teeth, they are used in grinding, cutting, and chewing of food. We will study this in detail, right, in higher standards, but right now we are going to understand that teeth, right, which we have, it is used for grinding, cutting, and chewing of food. So this way, in mouth, tongue, teeth, and now the third one, it is our salivary glands. Now see, this salivary glands, how the salivary glands are useful to us. Salivary glands, they secrete saliva. This saliva, what is function of this saliva? It make wet our food. Our food get wet with the help of this saliva. Okay, due to different enzymes which is present in saliva, digestion take place. Okay, suppose we take an example that due to amylase which is present in saliva, this amylase convert starch into maltose. Simply, we know that when we chew food, right, when it is in our mouth for a long time, we will taste it little bit sweet. So that sweet is due to maltose. Remember this, O's. If you are having O's after any of word, right, so it will be sweet, like glucose, fructose, sucrose, maltose. Maltose is also one type of sugar, and it is produced by the starch which is present in our food, the amylase, which secretes with saliva. It converts the starch into maltose, right? So this saliva, it's very important. Also, it is important in maintaining the pH. So we can say that from where digestion of food starts, it starts when our saliva mix with our food. right? So saliva is also very important. It wets our food, and as the food is wet, it will be very easy to swallow, right? In saliva, there is amylase enzyme. This amylase, it converts starch into maltose. Now, as we have discussed about mouth, all this thing after happening in mouth, now our food, with the help of esophagus, it will move to our stomach. Now let's see what happens in stomach. Okay, in stomach, generally in stomach, food will be there for almost 3 hours. Food will be churned there for 3 hours, right? And during that, what is going to happen? We can say that during this 3 hours, food which is going to churn in our stomach, right? There will be secretion of HCl, there will be secretion of pepsin, and there will be also a layer of mucus. Now let's see how HCl, how pepsin, and how mucus is useful to us. First of all, if we talk about HCl, so the food which is taken from mouth through esophagus, it goes into stomach, and there will be secretion of HCl, pepsin, and mucus. In that, the function of HCl is, right, it is acidic, so it provides acidic medium to our food. The second function of HCl is it kills bacteria, right? And this HCl is only responsible to breakdown of food also. So the HCl which is secreted from stomach, it will give acidic medium to the food, right? To the stomach, it will provide the acidic medium, it will kill the bacteria of the food, and it will also break down the large globules, the large molecules into small. Now, what is this importance of pepsin? So it's very simple that pepsin, it is first of all the pepsinogen, right, which is secreted in stomach. The pepsinogen which is secreted, due to that pepsinogen, right, this pepsin enzyme will be used in digestion of protein, right? So pepsinogen, it will used to do digestion of protein. Pepsin enzyme is used for digestion of protein. So in stomach, our digestion of protein will start. Now, what is the function of this mucus? Mucus, it protects stomach wall. It protects stomach wall from more secretion. It protects our stomach wall from more secretion of HCl. If HCl is more secreted, right? So the inner wall of stomach, it is protected by stomach. It is protected by, as discussion, as we completed discussion, that what happens in stomach. Now after stomach, food, first we take about mouth, that is our ingestion. Second process is our digestion. Digestion means the food particles which is not directly absorbed by our cells, so we are converting it into absorbable components, right? So here our food is going to convert into absorbable components. So in stomach, digestion will take place. After stomach, the food, right, it will now pass through small intestine. Now as the name you have heard, the small intestine, so is it actually small? The question may arise in our mind, that small intestine means what? Is it actually small? Because if we talk about the length of the small intestine, so length of the small intestine is almost 6.5 meters. In adult, the length of small intestine, it is almost 6.5 meters. So how, why it is called small intestine? Now let's understand about small intestine. Small intestine. Remember, this small intestine, it is the longest part. It is the longest part of our alimentary canal. So the question may arise that if it is the longest part, so why it is called small intestine? You can see in the picture that it is long, but if we take its width, right? So we will have small intestine and large intestine. In small intestine, its width will be less, so it is called small intestine. Even though its height is much more, but its width is less, so it is called small intestine. And in large intestine, its height is less, right? Its length is less, but its width is more, its diameter is more, so it is called large intestine. The length of small intestine, it may be different in different organisms. If it is herbivorous or if it is carnivorous, it may be different. If we talk about herbivorous, so herbivorous will have a long small intestine, right? While carnivorous, they will have short small intestine, because carnivorous, they easily digest the food, right? So let's talk about human small intestine, right? So in human digestive system, small intestine is the longest part of the alimentary canal, right? And it is attached with the stomach. Okay. As food passes from stomach to small intestine, we all know that in this small intestine, absorption of the nutrients is going to done. But before the absorption of nutrients is going to done, we must understand that during this mechanism, right, during food enters into small intestine, here there will be secretion of different juices, right? And the function of different juices is also very necessary to understand. So let's start. Here in small intestine, it is a very compact and a complex structure. The length of small intestine, it can be different, as we discussed that in herbivorous and carnivorous. In herbivorous, we will have long small intestine, and if we talk about carnivorous, in that we will have short small intestine, right? It's dependent on their digestions. Small intestine is the site of complex digestion in food into different components. Secretion, here in small intestine, there will be secretion from different organs like liver. Here in small intestine, secretion from liver and secretion from pancreas. Okay, now keep your focus here. In the small intestine, liver will secrete some juice and pancreas will also secrete some juices, right? It will be very helpful to us in our digestion. Now let's see. Let's start first. Liver, we know that liver is the largest gland. Keep this in our mind. It is the largest. Liver is the largest gland of the body. And what liver will do? Liver will secrete bile juice. Bile juice is secreted by liver. Now what is function of this bile juice? This bile juice, it provides basic medium, right? Bile juice provides basic medium to the food. In stomach there is more secretion of HCl. So from, if the food is more acidic, so when it comes in small intestine, this bile juice, right, it used to make our food neutralized. So bile juice, it is alkaline in nature, it is basic in nature, right? So it provides a basic medium to our food. So bile juice will provide a basic medium to the food, right? Where this bile juice is stored, so our bile juice is stored in gall bladder. Bile juice will be stored in gallbladder, and also this bile juice, it converts large molecules into small molecule, right? So the secretion of bile juice from liver, it helps us in different way. It provides basic medium to our food, it converts large globules, right, large molecules into small molecules, and it is stored in our gall bladder. Okay, now let's see that from pancreas there will be secretion of pancreatic juice, and this pancreatic juice will be amylase, trypsin, and lipase. Amylase, trypsin, and lipase. Now what is function of this amylase, trypsin, and lipase? As we have studied that amylase, what amylase will do? Amylase will convert starch into maltose, right? So it is help in digestion of starch. Trypsin, it is important in digestion of protein. So trypsin, it is used in digestion of protein, and afterwards it will converted into different easy absorbable compounds, right? So trypsin, it will active the pepsinogen, and which is useful in digestion of protein. Lipase is useful in digestion of fats, right? So lipase will be useful in digestion of fats. See, this amylase, which is useful in digestion of starch, it will convert into carbohydrates. Trypsin, which digests protein, it will convert it into amino acid, and this fat, right, it will get converted will be converted into fatty acid. So again, amylase to starch to carbohydrate, trypsin, with the help of trypsin, protein to amino acid, and lipase from fat to, it will convert it into fatty acid. So this way digestion, right, from stomach, then it will go to small intestine, and in small intestine from liver and from pancreas, this different juices will secrete, and it will help us in the digestion. Now from the small intestine, now food will move to the large intestine. Now what happens in large intestine? But before that, all this juice which is entered into small intestine, so in small intestine, right, with the help of this secretion of different type of juices in small intestine, we know that the inner lining of our small intestine, it will have numerous finger like projections which is called as villi, and this villi, it will be very helpful, because this villi, it increases surface area for absorption, right? So as the surface area is increased for absorption, so with the help of villi, right, the nutrients, right, it is going to get absorbed, and as it is absorbed it will be sent to blood, and in blood it is going to get assimilate from this small intestine food. Now it will move to large intestine. As we discussed, that large intestine is not as long as small intestine, it is shorter than small intestine, but the width of large intestine is more, so it is called large intestine. See, this large intestine, it is wider in diameter, and we all have heard this particular word appendix, right? So this appendix is also part of our large intestine. In this large intestine, what happens, right? So the food which we get here in large intestine, from that the more amount of water it is removed, right? So from here the food, right, it will try to become anhydrous, right? Water is absorbed again. So water is absorbed, right, in large intestine, and it is sent to anus, and by anus food is thrown out, right? And as we have discussed that our alimentary canal, it starts from mouth, so this anus, it will be the end point of alimentary canal, right? And this is regulated by anal sphincters. Okay, so let's have a quick revision over it. Let's start. We have started from here: ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and egestion, right? First of all, what is our digestive system? A process of intake of nutrients in form of food through a whole system, that is called our digestive system. Our digestive system is made up of mouth, our alimentary canal, right, and different secretions, right, different glands. Now let's see. First it starts from mouth. In mouth we will have tongue, teeth, and salivary gland. What is function of tongue, what is function of teeth, and what is function of salivary gland? That is important to note down. As from mouth, the food, it is going to get into stomach. So in stomach we will have HCl, pepsid, and mucus and their functions. From stomach, food will move into small intestine, right? In small intestine, why it is called small intestine, we have discussed the length of small intestine. It may be different in herbivorous and carnivorous, right? In this small intestine, it is the longest part of alimentary canal. There will be secretion from pancreas and livers, right? The juice which is secreted from pancreas, that is called pancreatic juice. In that we will have amylase, trypsin, and lipase. Amylase will convert starch into maltose and then into carbohydrates. Trypsin, it will convert protein. It will digest protein and it will convert it into amino acid. Lipase, it converts fat into fatty acid, right? Bile juice, it provides our basic medium. It is stored in gallbladder, and it also breaks down the large molecules into small molecules, right? So all this, when it is mixed, now it's time to absorb this nutrient, and that absorption is done by wall of our small intestine. So in at wall of the small intestine there is a finger like projection which is known as villi, and as it increases the surface, so absorption will be easy in our small intestine. From that, the nutrients, after absorption of the nutrients, the food, it is sent to large intestine. In this large intestine, more amount of water, if it is present in the food, it is again get absorbed, it is again reabsorbed, and now the anhydrous waste, it is sent to anus, which is the end point of our alimentary canal, and by that anus food is written food is thrown out, right? Food is thrown out from our body. Let's just do one correction, that here in spelling we will have amylase only. Please do this correction of amylase. Okay, so it's very easy, as from the figure you can do it very well.